Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to another unboxing. This is for Krosmaster Arena. So some people might be familiar with this game or the branding. The game's actually fairly old. Um, just for the heads up, so if you're out looking for it, you might not find necessarily this version. They have a 2.0 version that came out. Which just has updated some updated rules up, but it's essentially a separate game from everything I've seen looking good. I don't personally own it, so I can't contrast it at the moment. But if I ever do pick it up, I'll definitely do a comparison video. Um, but yeah, there's a 2.0. It just has some updated rules, some like clarifications about different boards and different pieces and stuff. So it's not like this set with bonus like updates. It's literally you buy the two sets, you could play them, you could mix and match the stuff between them. So it's not like update. It's like Arena Part 2. There's also several other versions. There's a junior version, which is just a more simpler version. Has a little bit less pieces, smaller areas of play, things like that. But again, different components and stuff from this game. So if you're trying to collect everything or have more things, you can buy that separate. There's also Quest, which is takes this game and it changes the format of it. The components and the stuff can be kind of mixed back and forth. You can play both different things, but they're two different types of games. Like this one's the arena is actually like a battler type game. I guess if you go into what type of game this is, if you're not familiar, it's a tactics game. So if you're familiar with things like Final Fantasy or Ogre Battle, that's what this is. It's you move your characters around on grids. You have attacks that deal damage within grid spaces. So this is an arena type battle game like that. It's versus. So you can have 1v1, 2v2. I imagine you could, if you really wanted to, you could have 4 versus 4, or not 4 versus 4, but like 4 players against each other. You could have any number of players playing for the number of players you have, or you can have teams of stuff. You could have like 2 people on a team, or you could just have multiple characters on your team. I could have 3 versus me playing 3 characters versus an opponent playing 3. Quest is very similar. It keeps the same figure, same stats, all that stuff. But it adds it into a cooperative game. The other 2 games in the series that have come out are Blast, which has same type of figures as cards that can work with this game, so you can bring stuff from the Blast series to the arena, but not necessarily vice versa unless they've released packs, or if you go online, I'm sure people have created cards you could download to bring all your existing characters that direction. But it's kind of more of a, I don't want to say dumbed down, but it's like a quicker version. Like this game is supposed to be like, this game could be like an hour or so long, 2 hours long, I think. Yes, it's 45 to 60 minutes roughly. I mean, the other game's supposed to be like 15, 20 minutes. It's supposed to be like half the time. It's supposed to like, it cuts out a lot of the different things to simplify it, so you can just get more into like, ooh, I'm battling you doing this and that. And then the very final one is, which might not even be available in America. It's called, I think it's called Guava Ball. It's a completely different type of game. It uses some of the characters from this game, but it's kind of like a footballish, Quidditch type game, soccer type game. So I'm not going to go too much into that. Because you can't even mix and match the characters from it because they use completely different components. Just uses the characters. Alright, so to hop in, again, what this is a tactics-based game. So you're going to get, usually I go through the book first. I just kind of want to go show off some of the other stuff. So you're going to get this grid-based board. All the different grids and tiles, and it's double-sided. There's going to be different icons and where different things go. And then you get these little characters. And then you play them on your grids, and they're going to do different damage. And there's a little other things I'll show off too that go on here and different stuff. But you'll have points to move different spaces. You'll have attacks that maybe you can only punch one space away, or you have ranged attacks where you can do 3-4 spaces. Some ranged attacks maybe do like a cross space, some do an area of effect, some only do a straight line. If you're like behind objects like this, you can't obviously shoot through this like stone pile, or like the little spots right here. This is like where a tree would be, or they have bushes. You can't shoot around or through a bush. There's lines of sight. And things like that. So, and as you buy more and more content for this game, because there's plenty of stuff, you're going to get other various maps and stuff to play on. Some of the other mini expansions add different maps with different components and things. And all your information is on these cards here. So you have a card that's going to have like various attacks they can do, your movement, your HP, and stuff like that. Nice, beautiful pictures. All the miniatures come pre-painted. There are several different ways to buy them, which I'll kind of go over a little bit at the end of the video. I just kind of wanted to give you at least an idea of what this was. So the goal of the game is there's two different things you can do. There's these little gold tokens you can get. So what you want to do is be the only player with any gold tokens. So either you're picking them up off the board, or you're defeating your opponent's character so that then you steal gold from them when you defeat them, or you defeat all your opponent's players, so if they have no one left to play with. Alright, so then let's look what's in the box. You're going to get 8 different figures. What's interesting about this is 2 of the figures are unique to this box set. All the rest of them are available, and there's like again, I'll explain more about how you buy other figures, but there's basically different series or seasons of other miniatures you can buy. There's, I think, currently 6 different seasons, but each of the big base games generally have 2 figures that are exclusive to the box, and then the rest are available elsewhere. So if I buy them in one of them other packs, I'm going to get the exact same figure, but it allows people to access stuff without necessarily having to always buy a full box. So that's kind of neat. I'll go over which ones are which when we get there. But you're going to get the character cards for them, and there's little things describing all the different stuff about them. Injury markers to keep track of their health. AP, carry your ability points, you get pluses and minuses, and MP for movement points. And that's supposed to more or less be like if you get an ability that gives you an extra, you can drop one on there, just as a reminder. If you spend points or you have less, you gain something that reduces the amount, you can put one on there, just so you can keep track of it. Your ultimate goal is to collect these GG tokens, the Gallons of Glory. You can get these different demonic rewards, which get you various bonuses. There's 3D scenery, which is really fun for a tactics game. Some dice, some these Kama tokens, which you can use to buy stuff. There's some summoning tokens. And there's a double-sided game board. What really makes this game actually really cool, this instruction book, is... So we start off, we have tutorial number 1. What this literally explains how the game works. How your game turn works, your movement, how you can move different spaces you can't move through, blocking things, stuff like that. And then it explains you how to do a simple punch. So like it costs 5 points to do a punch, which is 1 range, and you do 1 damage. And then how you can roll extra dice for if someone has a critical hit or they have armor, you can block. And basically your damage is equal to the amount printed on the spell, plus critical damage minus the shield canceling. And then now it's explaining, this is what I love about this. So now, here it sets up an actual little map for you to play on. So you can drop some bushes there, put your 2 characters there. You're playing one side, one player's playing the other side. It has your card information. So it takes this character card here, and all it does is it takes that top half, keeps everything the same, and then it gets rid of all the special abilities on there and only puts this punch ability, which is like a generic ability everybody has access to, so they don't list it on the cards. Basically, like, I don't have any points to spend on anything else, or I don't want to use it, or I'm not in range. You always have this optional attack. But this is what makes this tutorial really fun, because it's actually telling you to just play the game. So if I can... So I get these little bush tokens I've made. Not made, they came with the game. You put one character there, you put the other character there, and now it tells you to play a game. It explains how you do your movement, and you can, as a reference here, you got your only the information you need to play this particular little mission right here. So it's basically like, I have to defeat each other, but all you're doing is like, one person's gonna move, and the other one's gonna punch the other one, and then the other one's gonna move, and they're gonna punch the other one. And it's as simple as it is. It's not very difficult. So like a show on here, they have, I'll kind of show off this card. So, top of each card, you have a name, unique thing. Up here's a level that just has to do with like deck building, or like team building and stuff. Initiative, if you're having a team, it decides who gets to go first. So higher initiative characters go first. If you have 3 characters, the person with the highest initiative goes first. Or if you're playing one-on-one, the other person with the higher initiative gets to go first. It kind of offsets the skills. MP is your movement. It's how many spaces you can move. 10 HP, and AP is how many points you can spend, your action points. So my King of the Guava Ball, this white-haired character, can move 3 spaces. So I can go 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3. Or I can go 1, 2, 3. I can get right next to him. You can go diagonal. You can't go diagonal, which it does say in here. When moving, diagonal cells are never counted. You can only move them to an adjacent cell. So I can't move. So with my 3 moves, I can't get 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. With this character, I can't get close enough to do damage. So my options are, what do I do? Do I try and maybe stay back a space? You don't have to spend all 3. But that's basically what you do. And then what you do is you get nearing up to them. Oh, I'm just tipping everyone over. And then let's say they get next to each other. So now they both have this punch ability, which just shows on here, costs 5. So she has 7, one has 7, one has 6. So they're only going to be able to use this punch ability once. So essentially it's like whoever gets closer first is going to punch once, and then do damage. And then punch, the other one's going to punch, and they're going to punch and punch until one of them's KO'd. Fairly simple. It's just to get the idea of how that works. And it's nothing more than that. It's kind of neat. Yep, keep the, and then but you also have to make sure you roll your dice. So you're gonna roll for your critical hit, and one other person's gonna roll for their defense. So it's not just necessarily whoever strikes first is gonna win, because you can strike first and get blocked all your damage, or you can strike first and get critical and do extra damage. Plus they have different health. One has 8, one has 10. So now this continues throughout through pretty much the entire book. Now I'm not going to sit here and go through every single one, but the idea of why I love this is an instruction book for this type of game. So now we have tutorial 2, we have our first spell. So now it's going to explain, here's each one of their spells. So again, if I look at my one character, their spell they're saying has Glob. It's hard to say. So it's saying it's a melee attack, range. Cost 3, does 1 damage. So it's better than that 5, because now you can actually play it twice, and that's what makes it a better ability. And then the other character has one that does 1 to 3 spaces of range. So they have to be ranged. Cost 3, does 1. So again, you can do it twice. But they have to be within that range. But I mean, 1's the same as being next to it. But now the difference is, so I still have that ability on this actual character card. It just, this time, it eliminates all the extra text. So, if we come back over, here's a tutorial space. A little bit bigger. Add some trees in there. And now it's showing off these cards. Showing off the cards again, so it adds that ability instead. Also adds his special powers in there. Armor and lock. and this one has critical hits and dodge, which are what are actually on the character cards. It's slowly revealing more information. It's now just focused on, okay, now do this, but do it with the regular abilities, but without the extra special effects. And then here it's showing how to check for your range, checking your line of sight for stuff. Like here it's showing like you can look over a bush. You can't move through a bush, but you can look over a bush for an attack. But you can't go through a tree. It's just kind of interesting there. And then they're talking about the different powers. So they have different powers in your role. So it's talking about, again, what we already went through armor. And let's say what lock is. So lock is your situation when you're next to somebody. So if you're trying to get away, if someone's trying to get away, you can roll to basically stop them from getting away. And dodge is the same idea. So when you're trying to get away, you get to roll an extra dice to have someone get away. And then lock and dodge can cancel each other out. Same way critical hit and armor can sort of cancel each other out. So then we go to step 3. And again, this just keeps adding a little bit more at a time. So then it adds their second ability, which they both have a summon ability. One can summon Tofus, one can summon Guava Balls. So they have little tokens that you can represent, which have picture on one side, stats on the other. And then once a token summon, it's treated like a little character. So it has, 3 HP, 3 movement, 5 AP. It has its own special little ability. And then, but also the difference is the Tofus, the little birds, you can summon up to 3 of them. There's only a number that says 3. And then the Guava Ball, you can only summon 1. So the Guava Ball is a little bit more powerful with 3 health. But it can't move as fast. And the Tofus actually goes a little bit, can move more, but has less health. But also has 0 damage. But you could get stuff from, basically they can gang up and hoping to get that critical damage. So that's just different ways they can play. And then they add some of the extra, and then they add the spell effects. So now your character cards also have their extra spells. So Guava Ball does 2 damage for each Guava Ball near it, and Gang Tofu does 1 for each Tofu adjacent to it. So you do more damage. So now it gives us another map that's even bigger, more trees, puts the characters in different spots. But now it's literally telling you just use your card because you have that. And there are variants they list in here too, like start the game, try starting with a different player or put them in different spots, stuff like that. And that's it in this game. It just keeps adding more and more of the stuff. So then as we keep playing through, so now it's going to add another character. So each player is going to get another character which has different abilities, different costs of stuff. And it just explains how they all work. So your initiative, how crates work, we're going to add crates in there. So crates aren't obstacles. A character can move onto them from adjacent spells. If they're on there, a character's on a crate, they'll gain 1+ range. So here it's showing different range. So it goes from 3 to 4 or from 3 to 4. You can't increase reg ones though. There's static abilities, and you obviously can't change your melee. But now it's going to show, here's a brand new map. We got 4 characters, so each player gets to play as 2 different characters. And you all that different stuff. So that's kind of just cool. It just keeps adding a little bit more, Here we got New Horizons. So it's like, okay, so the King and Queen, the first 2 characters, are going to take a break. So now we're going to swap out for 2 other characters. So we spent the first 2 learning how to play as a character. Then the third one, we got to add a second character. Now this one's going to swap them out. So now we're going to play as 2 different characters as well as 2 we just learned. So now we have 4. A little bit bigger map. Add some extra stuff in there. Tutorial 6 is going to add the last 2 characters. I'm going to save them because they have some extra different abilities. One has a healing ability, which we haven't dealt with yet. The other one adds some bombs, which are kind of neat. So they add these bomb tokens, which do different things. They explode and do damage in an area. So then now we're going to have a map that looks like this. And now they're playing straight on versus corner to corner, which is a little bit different. And then finally, we have tutorial 7 here. So now it's going to basically just be like, each player is going to play as a team of all 4 characters. So here's the 4 you should play as. Here's all the different stuff. Here's how to here's how to add your coins in there. We're going to buy all that. There's a tension rising meter. So like, as you play each turn, this is kind of a cool effect. You roll a die if you get one of these symbols. Each your opponent loses GG, it has to put it away. So the goal of the game is to have all of it. But at the beginning of the turn, you can end up losing some. And it kind of adds in a timeline. It forces you to do different stuff, which is kind of neat. Just to keep the game kind of moving, so you're not just statically running around the board, doing nothing. So now it's literally telling you, here's the setup for the full game. Each person has the 6 tokens. You summon up, put all the summons out. They get their dice. They get their items that go with them. Here you put rewards that you can purchase. The rewards are purchased by stepping on one of these. They're also going to show like these little colored prints on the bottom of the board. That's where players can start. If you're playing multiple players. Yeah, so it basically just tells you at that point. Like, so 7 tutorial, about 7 times saying, here, just play the game. Now you play a little, you play one smaller round with each player. You kind of have an idea of how they all work, and then play it. And then now it kind of goes back into the rest of the basics. In case you didn't understand something, it re-explains what all the different effects do. Choice of characters, how the scenery works, what the tokens do, where you put them down, starting cells, which you kind of just explained, your game turns, character turns, moving, all the other little stuff you need to know. You can spend your AP to collect coins, buy the GGs, cast spells, punch an opponent, buy demonic rewards, use your demonic rewards, casting spells, just more information on healing, summoning specials. Only other couple little quick things to mention, there's actually some usage limits here which are kind of neat. So black name spells do not have a limited usage. Blue can only be cast once per turn, and red can only be cast once per game. So if we look at all the different characters, black, so this one has a red ability. So this puff can only be used once per game. So it's use it when you absolutely need to use it. This blue one can only be used once per turn, so you can't keep stacking it up. Otherwise the rest are kind of black. So there's nothing too major there, but it's kind of a neat idea. It's just some of the abilities you just can't use all the time. Summoning costs, like some have extra additional costs, so like MP costs, movement costs, as well as action points. Some cost health to do. Your fixed range while your different abilities mean there's elemental damage that can take place. Things like that. Area of effect attacks, which I kind of mentioned. There are going to be some that are going to say, this is how they do it. So they're going to do in a cross, a square, like a hammer, a staff, or a shovel. And they might just say on there, this does cross damage. So that way you know it attacks more than one space, which is really very tacticky. Additional effects, stuff like that. And then other things. So here you're going to show off some different mob tokens. Bomb tokens, trap tokens. There are ways. Now this is tournaments. Again, it's named years old, so you can't really get these anymore through tournaments, but you can maybe buy them. But they have little 3D tokens for all the different, your different summons, your trap tokens, your different bombs. These are ones for other characters. This stuff for some of the coins and bushes and stuff. So if you really want to truly make this a 3D game, there are ways to get 3D tokens. And then they're just talking about some of them powers that are at the bottom. Like the ones we had here were just words like armor and lock, but they're going to add more. You can actually do stuff with scenery. You can make it destructible if you want. So you can destroy things, which makes the game a little bit different. And then a couple of pages is going through explaining A little bit more on all the demonic rewards, the equipment you can get, advanced rules, so if you want to play free-for-all with 4 players, 2-on-2, customizable teams, stuff like that, and then a big page of FAQ stuff. And then the back page, of course, is going to be all the things, just for making sure you remember how to do everything. Your turns, characteristics, which are actually, this is actually really very helpful to have sitting out. Movement, so free cell means you can move through it, impassable means it blocks you. So you can move over crates, you can see over crates, but they're not, none of them are affected by that. But you can't move over a bush or tree, but you can see over a bush. Same thing with different things, different tokens and stuff like that. Plus their health, if you're going to have them destroyable. The little line of sight block, the area of effect, just the quick things, just, you know, casting spells, AP costs, just nice little helpful things. So this is a really good tutorial for playing a tactics game. That being said, let's look at a bunch of the components here. And I'm not going to go through every single one of the demonic rewards, just because there's a lot of them. But here's our first board. So this is the Pit Arena. Yeah, it's just kind of like you can go around this. You can walk around all this stuff, but there's like rocks and things you can just walk over. But it's actually a fairly open board. Coins in the middle. You know. And then the other side, we flip over. Just add some different stuff. So it's more or less kind of the placement of stuff is different, but it's roughly the same type of thing. There's nothing extra special. There's no big objects in the way or anything. But they do have other maps that have more hazards. Alright, so now if we look into the box, it actually has a really good, not a very good storage, but I guess there's a little space for all the figures, all the tokens and everything, which is really nice. The only problem is going to be is as you buy more stuff, there's nowhere else to put anything else in this box. So, yeah, we're going to get our little tiny tokens like these, and the green ones, and our little health ones. I'm not going to pull all them out. Let's take a better look at some of these. These are our GGs. Here's some of our tokens. Whoop. So here's one of the Guava Balls. I don't know if I can get this on my... Yeah. Let's see if I can find... So we have a bunch of different tokens here for all these different things. And I'm just throwing them everywhere. So that was the Guava Ball, and here's the Tofu. The first two we learned about. So as you can see, they have different abilities. We have health, movement points, health, and action points, but they cost 4 and 4. They do different stuff. So Bite, one's called Kiss. Tofu has Itty Bitty, which just means you can have more than one on a space, I believe. Or you can see over it and go around it. It doesn't really take up a lot of space. Alright, so then some other things we have is we did talk about the water bomb. I didn't really go over it too much. But the water bomb will have a special explosion ability. And then we also have a yellow one, which is the fire bomb. So these only have 1 health. Basically, they do an explosion, which is a square area. The water bomb also has -1 AP. So if it hits someone, it reduces their AP as well. But the fire bomb has critical. And then they do have different elementals. One's blue, one's yellow. So water and fire. Which some guys have resistances to them, so that's why those are listed. But yeah, it's just different little things there. So you can create some different bombs with different characters. We also have a purple one, which is a Grenado. Trying to see what other little things we have. We have a deadly trap. So deadly trap is the grenades have a square explosion as well, but it's at -1 to your movement. And the deadly trap just has a trigger, does 7 damage. And it says it's insensitive, which I'm guessing just probably means if you touch it, it goes off. I'm not positive, I have to look up. But yeah, basically you play one of them, and the idea would be like knock your opponent or force your opponent to have to move into it. We have a little Lost Doll token. Alright, so the Lost Doll. And we have a Crazy Doll. Who also... Ooh, let's see if we can get that. They also have movement, hit points, stuff that are a little bit more powerful. Lost Doll has Cuddle, which costs all 5, does 1 damage. The Crazy Doll has Irritation, which costs 4, but it doesn't do any damage, but it's -1 AP and -1 movement points. So they're kind of just, you know, they're not obviously as powerful as regular attacks. But then we get multiples of each of these. We have a... Whoop, dropped it. We have a Wabbit. And one of these guys, which is a Sacrificial Doll. So the Wabbit costs 5 AP to do 1, but it has a ranged attack. And a Sacrificial Doll does boom. It costs 1 health and 5 AP, but it does 2 damage, and it has a chance to do critical. And that would be all the different tokens. So again, several of each couple of different ones. Characters will have a limit on how many they can use. Let me just drop these all back in the box really quick. So I'm going to look at a couple of the demonic tokens. So they're going to have these back. So there's different colors for different rarities. And they're going to kind of show on the back how much they cost to buy. So you got like bronze, which are 3, silver, which is 6, and gold, which are 12, which are more powerful. So we're going to get things like, but it's like a recall potion, teleport to a starting cell. You're going to get items or equipment. Oop. Like the country set, which is going to give you one, looks like 1 ranged and 1 health. You could get a Razzle Sword, which is going to get you an ability. So it gets you what you spend 3 to do 2 attack. And they also have a little symbols on the side there, like sword or outfit, like hat and cloak, which just means you can't have more than 1 equipped. Here you're going to have a little ally you could get, Little Moon, who's going to give you 3 health, 1 movement, and 1 range. We could get a different set of armor. The Crackler set, which gets you 4 health and lock. Trying to see if we have something different here. We have Cross Style. +1 of any type of damage and 2 range. Or we might have an Aqua Buff, which gets you +1 water damage and resistance to water. We could also get a Mishima Shovel, which gets you an attack that does 4, or costs 4, does 2 damage, but does a shovel area. So it only does that area like right in front of your character. And there's a ton more of these. So it's like, I'm not going to sit here and go through every single one, because I literally have to do a separate video on just that, because that's how many more there are. So there's quite a few. And And I guess if anyone's really interested in what everyone does, I can always do a follow-up video where I just go through each one. But I don't want to spend... I already spent a lot of time going through the instructions. I don't want to spend a ton more time going through every single little token, because it's not even the main focus of the game. Alright, so we're going to have some trees you can build. So these come in pieces. And some little symbols on them. We'll zoom out a bit. So we have a tree there. You get several different kinds of trees. Like this one has some flowers. This one has some, looks like apples on it. That doesn't mean anything different. We're going to get the little bushes. We've already seen some little creatures in them. There's like a hidden creature. And then the last thing we'll get in this set, at least, are crates, which you actually have to kind of tape together. They kind of snap in there, but then you're going to really need to tape them. Which is sort of my only downside about these, is because then they kind of look a little crappier. So I wouldn't mind the 3D ones, like buying little plastic ones, which is something you can easily just replace. You'll find 3D tokens of trees or crates, and you can see how they stack up next to the characters. It's actually pretty decent size. And you're going to get a bunch of each one. So you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 trees, probably like 8 bushes and like 8 or 9 bushes, plus a bunch of crates. So you get enough to like cover what you need for a set. And then last thing we have before we jump into all the characters is we have the dice. You're going to get 8 dice, which are going to have various sides on them. So you're going to have a defense side, magnet side, hit side, shoe side, either a boot or a hit side. I thought there was another double side. And then you have, it was just the one. And then you have the S side. And if I have the book here, does it explain what each of those symbols are? Just for giggles here. So yeah, okay. So if we kind of look at critical hit and armor, we kind of explain it. The little energy blast is your hits. So if you roll that, or you roll the boot and the hit, it counts as a hit. Or the S, which is essentially like a 20 on a D20 figure, it does everything. If it shows any of the other 3, it doesn't do anything at all. If you're rolling for defense, if you get the armor or the S, it does both. So basically that's what you're trying to do. And then we also have block. So someone's trying to block against locking or block against whatever they need to block against. So if a character wishes to leave a cell adjacent to an opponent, also known as disengaging or quitting close combat, they may be locked. Your opponent rolls a die if they get a magnet or the S symbol. They have succeeded in locking your character. So basically, they drew your character to it. You can also roll a die if you get one of the other symbols. Your character has managed to dodge the lock. So the person who's trying to get away needs to try and get a boot or the everything to dodge the lock. And if the opponent wants to stop, then you get the magnet. If your character is locked and your opponent dodges, is blocked, it just everything ends. So that's kind of the thing there. If you're trying to get away from someone, you need to roll good enough to get away. You can just move away unless they roll the lock. If they roll a lock, then you have to get the dodge. It's just kind of a little game of back and forth on there. Same thing with armor. You roll, they roll a critical. They roll a critical, you roll armor to just defeat the damage. Where was the spot that talked about locks? And yeah, just one other quick thing for there. So it says, The result is one of the 4 symbols, leave it. If it becomes one of the other 2, the one that's the boot or the runaway or the damage, you have to flip it to one of those sides. Becomes the S1, the S stone. You have to flip it to whatever face you want. So basically, it's, if you roll one of these, you flip it to whatever side you want it to be counted as, and that's what it is from then on. So you don't have to sit there and constantly, well, no, I said it was this, and it was actually that, type of thing. And then here's the lock. So if an active character wants to move from a cell as adjacent, roll for lock. Your opponent rolls 1 die or 2 dice if opposing character has the lock power. Each magnet counts as success. Roll for dodge. You roll 1 die or 2 die if you have dodge. Each foot cancels out a locked success. If they're still locked, they lose all their points. So that's how locking works, and that's why you might want dodge. And then, yeah. And then this is more of the tension and doing that. So there's a couple other things. I didn't go over every single rule, but that's kind of what the symbols on the dice mean. Alright, so finally, we're going to look at all the different characters. Set that over there. So first one we're going to look up as is the 2 exclusive characters. So these are the 2 that are only available in this set. They have not been, to my knowledge, been released outside of this set. So if you bought one of the other base sets or a bunch of the other expansion packs, you might want to come back through and buy one of these if you want these last 2 characters. So first up, and we've kind of already seen a bunch of their abilities, but we're going to have the Queen of the Tofus. And again, I love the fact that all these miniatures are already pre-painted. One thing you are going to find, though, if you start buying the collector's edition, or buying, not collector's, expansions, is there are characters that have the same looks, like they're the same model, but maybe 1 or 2 things are changed. Maybe they have a different weapon, or they have a different hat, or a different accessory or something, but it's the same model. It's just kind of neat. They play differently, they're named as different characters, but it kind of keeps it sort of interesting, because that way they can make, you know, most of the same model, the same type of thing. So here we have something, I'm not going to go through all their abilities, but she has Dan Tofu, which inflicts 1 extra damage per tofu adjacent to the target, and then she can summon Tofus. And then they have this block here, just information about them. She has some powers, which are critical hit and dodge, and down here it's going to say she's Krosmaster Arena set 1 of 2. And on the back they have some really neat pictures of them. I just showing them off a little bit more. And then our second exclusive is the King of the Guava Balls. That's this guy. He's kind of got like horns and like kind of like a sheep type skin costume. So he gets +2 damage when a Guava Ball is adjacent to the target of the spell, and you can summon 1. He has armor and Glock. Alright, so now all the rest we're going to go into are going to be from the first expansion. And there's 2 different ways to buy the expansions. At least the first 2 sets is they have individual like booster, like mystery packs. You can buy one, you get 1 of random 32 characters. Or they had sets of like little boxes of 4 characters, so you know exactly which one you're gonna get. So if you only want to buy like 1 or 2 characters, you know, from the original first 2 sets, the mystery boxes are probably a good way to go. But if you want to try and collect the entire set, buying the window boxes, as they call them, was probably the better idea, because then you know exactly which 4 characters you're getting, and you won't buy duplicate. If you buy all 8 of them, you get the entire set. The exception to this rule is in Series 1, and might cross over into Series 2. In some of the sets, when you buy the figures, they're going to be the same as the characters are, the additional characters from the starter set. So, these last 6 characters are all in the first set. So if I bought all 8 boxes, I'm going to have these duplicate characters. Exact same figure, exact same cards, nothing's different about them. Unfortunately, there's no way around that without buying mystery packs and hoping to never... They won't... I think they're still going to be part of the mystery packs. Even if you buy the mystery packs, you might get them a second time anyhow. You're just going to end up with duplicate characters. Not much you can do about that. Then from sets 3 onwards, they only went mystery boxes. They stopped doing the window boxes for whatever reason, except for one set that's only mystery or only window boxes. And then there's a bunch of promo figures they released. There's a bunch of exclusive little sets that have characters that are only in the window boxes. There's like the Multi-Man pack, the Dark Heroes pack. Then there's a couple other ones, like Brothers of the Tofus set, which are actually a collection of promo figures, which you could have gotten. They just shoved them all into one box. So if you are looking at getting this stuff and buying things, do a little research, figure out what you might want. Like, are you trying to collect the full set? Make sure that you're doing that. You know, buy the window boxes when you can, but make sure you don't rebuy single figures a second time. But that's just what I'm saying. Alright, so let's jump into this guy. So, we have Cassius Chaos. So, his name underneath, the Masquerader, this one's Osama Gaius. These guys are both that. It's kind of like their group identification slash, I believe it's kind of like some of these characters, like their god they worship. And it kind of just classifies them sort of together. So if like you're trying to play characters that seem to work well together, it's kind of like their team. The top up here is their level. All the characters from this set are level 3. You can get higher level characters, level 6, level 10. They're just basically more powerful. That's their initiative, so I get to attack first. So, Cassius Chaos is this little masked guy right here. It's detailed all the way around. Skull backpack, skulls on the side, the patchwork. I mean, these are actually pretty good for what they are. So we have Irritating Sting, does a ranged attack, costs 1. Or he can do Puff, which we established before. He can only do 1 per game, but it does 3 damage and it pushes someone back. So normally he's just going to do like these little 1 damages, but 1 point he can like do a big blow and actually do some powerful stuff. Plus it has critical hit. And there's a neat little picture of him. I like his backs of these pictures too. It actually like help make the characters, give them a little bit more life. We have Bill Tell, who's a Kra, who has a Plaguing Arrow, does 1 damage for 3, so he can do this twice, but it's a 3 to 8. So this is the first range we have that doesn't hit immediately in front of him. So he has to be far, at least a decent amount of away. He's an archer. Oops, so here is our Bill Tell. That you have big heads, smaller bodies, but they still work. There's nothing on a character's base or anything that indicates what set they're from or like what character they are. It's just kind of interesting. But you can see down here, this is number 7 of 32. His second ability, though, he can only use once per match, or per turn. Says, for this turn, Bill Tell's spells gain +3 max range, but he loses all his MP. So basically, if you're far enough away, you can turn this from an 8 range to an 11 range. Which is really nice. It only costs him 1 MP, so he can only cast Plaguing Arrow 1 more time. But he can't move. Let's look at his back quick. So there we go. We have Little Healy. So she's kind of a little fairy. She's a little wand, some clear see-throughish wings, which is really cool. Little tuft of hair sticking up. So Little Healy's ability, she's an Imprisa, or I think, she has Forbidden Word, pierces armor, so they basically ignore someone rolling armor, does 2 to 4, or she can heal between 3 spaces for 1 damage. She can heal twice, but she has no extra powers on the bottom. And there's her little picture. Then we have Oscar Cass, who's a SRAM. So he's a skelly guy. Some daggers, a skeleton underneath. You can see little bony feet down there. So, there we go. Definitely cool. Alright, so he's gonna have Con, which steals health. So he does 1 damage, but he steals 1 health back. But if you get some crits in there, or anything like that, you do extra damage from other abilities, so you can do more. Otherwise, it has Devious, which he does 0, but you roll again for your crit and all that. And he does 2 to 3 range. And he has some armor. And there's his picture. We have Anatomy as a scryer. So that's going to be her right here. She's got like this evilish grin. She's got neat like translucency red flame. She's got like red arms, big giant hair. Definitely cool. So she has Assault. Switch positions with targeted character. Or she can switch positions with targeted ally. Basically, she can move where she needs to and do damage. And now you can kind of see some of these guys, like other ability tokens, why they're actually going to be more useful to collect. Oh, we didn't look at this side. So the demonic rewards be really good to try and collect, just because that's just going to let you do extra abilities. Because some of these guys have some neat stuff, but they're kind of limited. So now we have Bag Amalgam. It's supposed to be like bomb. So he's got one of his bombs there. He's got a pistol. So like what we saw, he does the water bomb. So now there's different versions of this character in the core set. There are different colors or different things. So like one's gonna have the fire bomb, one's gonna have the grenade bomb. And that's different things. Like each character has generally has at least 2 other versions. Some more common characters have 3 or 4. Some are unique characters which don't have a duplicate. Like these 2 guys here would be considered like unique, so they're not gonna have a duplicate version of them. But some of the other guys will have like 2 or 3 different versions, like a different color, a different weapon, which just gives them different abilities. So here he's going to have Retreat Shot. He retreats 1 cell, so he does the damage, and he backs up. And then you can throw your water bomb onto an empty cell. And then you can kind of shoot the water bomb, but you can back up while you're doing it, because it hits an explosive damage. And then there's his picture. So that was all of the characters, all the dice, all the components. Again, the only thing we didn't go through is I didn't go through every single one of them. Little tokens. So I want to show on the box here. So here on the box, I'm going to zoom out a bit. Is an example of one of the sets I was talking about. So you're going to have, this is from box set 1. You have Fire and Ice. You could buy one of these, and you're going to get these 4 characters. Or you could buy mystery packs. A mystery pack, and you might get a random one. But each box here, or each character, each mystery pack is going to come with a couple of tokens. You're going to get a little mini-map per character. So every character will have an extra little mini-map, which they're kind of showing like down here. It just gives you an extra little gameplay thing, and then you're going to get their cards with them. As you can see, so here's a different version of the one character we have. I can't remember the names already. Annie Tom, I believe. There's Oscar Crash. There's a different version where he's black. There's a uniquer character, so there's a couple different ones we don't have. There's a different version of Bill Kell. Again, they're not called the same name. They have different names. But you can see there's different colored versions. Even in this pack here, we have a Blue Knight and a Red Knight. So one's a Frost character, and a Water character, and one's a Fire character. They have the same molds, everything. They're just different colors, but they have different abilities on their cards. They do different stuff. So that's definitely a thing. Oh, like right here we go. This will actually show up all the different stuff. So yeah, like here you're going to get 5 different knights. I was talking about him. There's 2 different kinds. Let's see if I can get that a little bit better. Yeah, 2 different colors. You have a white and a blue one. 3 different archers. 3 different the Heelys. This guy has 3 completely different masks. Skeleton Man has 3 different ones, 3 different versions of her. This cat one, which we haven't seen, we have 3 different versions, 3. Those are the 2 exclusive ones. We have these 3 unique type characters, plus some more over here. Some more different unique ones. Some of these guys over here are all promo characters, which is why they're way over there. Even some of these, I think these 3 here are the unique. Some of the uniques in the box. Some are promos. These guys are all promo originally, but you can find them in sets. And like here we have like this version of him, and then we have a black version over here. Yeah, so a bunch of different stuff. There's some 3D tokens again. And it does mention on here if you have a code, you can go to Krosmaster.com, enter the code, and play with other people online in little 3D boards. Add your characters and unlock them. And there's a Tofus and Wakafu games, which are what these are based off of. You can add characters for that and stuff. I don't know anything about any of that or what's still available. Because again, this game came out in 2012. I think the last expansion came out in 2018. So they might be planning more stuff. But with the global issues we're having, maybe they just put them on hold. I'm not for sure. But this was a long video. But this was Krosmaster Arena. Hopefully I'll get some more pieces to this, and we can check out some more figures and things like that.